The morning sun poured gently into the old house, its golden beams brushing against the faded curtains that had hung there for decades. Emma sat quietly at the edge of her bed, her hands resting on her lap as though they were too heavy to move. It had been 3 weeks since Daniel's funeral, and yet the world felt as though it had stopped spinning. The silence was unbearable. The kettle in the kitchen never whistled anymore because she had no reason to boil water for 2 cups of tea. The living room clock ticked loudly, reminding her of every second that passed without him in it. She was surrounded by their life together, but somehow all the warmth had been drained away. Daniel had always been a quiet man, one of those people whose presence was felt not through words but through small, steady acts of love. He woke before her every morning, made her tea exactly the way she liked, left it steaming on the bedside table, and kissed her forehead gently before heading to work. He never said the words often, those 3 words she had sometimes longed to hear more clearly, but she felt them in the way he fixed the squeaky door without being asked, in the way he rubbed her shoulders after long days, in the way his hand always found hers during evening walks. And yet, in this stillness, she wondered if she had been foolish not to press harder for more words, for more declarations. Maybe, if she had made him speak more often, the silence he left behind wouldn't feel so endless now. On a restless afternoon, Emma wandered into Daniel's study. The room smelled faintly of cedarwood and paper, just as it always had, and for a moment she could almost see him at the desk, glasses sliding down his nose, scribbling something in his notebook. She placed her hand on the chair, half expecting to feel warmth, but it was cold. She decided to tidy the drawers, a task she had avoided because she knew it would hurt. She wanted to be close to him, and yet the thought of discovering parts of him she didn't know scared her. As she pulled open the bottom drawer, a bundle of envelopes caught her eye. They were neatly tied together with a faded ribbon, old and fragile. Her heart skipped a beat as she saw her name written in Daniel's familiar handwriting. Hands trembling, she untied the ribbon and picked one at random. The paper was yellowed slightly with age, but his words leapt off the page. "My dearest Emma, I don't know if I'll ever give you this letter, but tonight I looked at you across the dinner table, laughing as you told me about the neighbor's cat knocking over the flower pot, and I felt something I couldn't contain. You are the light that steadies me. I know I don't say it often, but I hope in the quiet of my actions you feel what my tongue stumbles over. If tomorrow never comes, know this, I have loved you more fiercely than I ever knew was possible." Her breath caught, tears blurred her vision as she reached for another letter, and another. Each one was filled with confessions, thoughts, and love he had never spoken aloud. They spanned years, written on birthdays, anniversaries, and even ordinary Tuesdays. One was written after an argument, his words apologizing for his stubbornness and ending with, "Even when I'm wrong, my love for you is right." Another was written on the day their daughter was born. "You in that hospital bed, holding our child, looked like an angel. I thought my heart might burst from gratitude. I'll never forget that moment." Emma pressed the letters to her chest, sobbing quietly into the bundle as though she could hold him again. In that moment, she realized Daniel had been speaking to her all along, she just hadn't known where to listen. Days turned into weeks, and each evening she allowed herself the comfort of opening just one letter. She sat by the fireplace, reading his words by the dim glow of the lamp, feeling as though Daniel was still with her, whispering across the boundary of life and death. The loneliness eased, not gone, but softened. She began to smile at the memories they had built, warmed by the realization that even in silence, his love had been louder than anything else in her life. One evening, Emma found a letter dated only a month before his passing. It was longer than the rest, and her hands shook as she unfolded it. "My love, I feel the weight of time these days. My body grows tired, though I try not to show it. But before the day comes when I can no longer sit beside you with our morning tea, I want to leave behind what I've struggled to say. You have been my life's great joy. Every sacrifice, every long day, every moment of doubt was worth it because it led me back to you. If you are reading this, then I am gone, and I am sorry for leaving you with the kind of silence that hurts. But please, Emma, don't mistake it for emptiness. The silence is still filled with me, with my love. You only need to listen." Emma cried harder than she had since the day of his funeral, but this time her tears were not just grief, they were gratitude. Gratitude for a love so deep it outlived death, gratitude for a man who may not have spoken often but had written enough to fill her heart forever. Months passed, and Emma began to live again. She tended to the garden Daniel loved, brewed tea in the mornings, and sometimes even laughed with neighbors. She carried the letters with her everywhere, tucked inside her purse like a heartbeat she could hold. Every now and then, she would sit on the porch during the evening and read one aloud, as though Daniel were sitting right there beside her, listening. And in those moments, she swore she could feel his hand brush against hers, just as it had on their walks, just as it always would in memory. The day came when their daughter, Anna, visited with her own children. Curious, the children asked about their grandfather, a man they only faintly remembered. Emma pulled out the letters, showing them the bundle of love their grandfather had left behind. She read a few aloud, her voice trembling but steady. Anna wept quietly as she realized her father had left not only memories but a legacy of love for all of them. That night, after everyone had left and the house grew silent once more, Emma sat with the final letter she had been saving. It was dated the week before his heart gave out, his handwriting weaker, shakier. My Emma, my forever. I know my time is near. If I could, I would hold your hand through every day still to come, but instead I leave you these words. Do not fear the years without me, they will still be filled with us. You are stronger than you think, braver than you believe. And when your time comes to leave this world, don't be afraid. I'll be waiting, with your tea, and I'll kiss your forehead like I always did. Until then, my love, live for both of us. Emma folded the letter carefully, placed it back in the ribbon bundle, and held it to her chest. The tears came again, but this time they carried no despair. She looked out the window, where the night sky stretched endlessly, and whispered, I'll live, Daniel. For you, I'll live. And for the first time in months, Emma went to bed not in silence, but in peace, because she knew love like his never truly left. It only changed form, lingering in letters, in memories, in every beat of her heart until the day she would see him again.